And we have a lot of players that can play. There has been a comfort pick for a really long time. Yeah, there we. Oh, that's a nice pivot. So instead of the Lee, they are going to go for the Volibear, which means that now T1, if they want to, can go for LeBlanc and the Lee. Because I think LeBlanc Lee is actually really good at neutralizing the presence that an Akali will have, both in terms of laning phase and afterwards, where you can reveal her. You know, LeBlanc has a really good matchup into... or you can just go for something similar, pick up the...
Jace Akali.
Yeah, I think you just pick Jace Leona, honestly. Just go back to that. I think that was a nice combination. Carry obviously very comfortable on it. Gives you a really strong bot lane that can play both aggressively and defensively very well.
I just feel like Akali is really strong, but...
I agree.
It just feels like... I don't know. As T1, if you're not going to ban it on blue side again, are you just going to leave it wide open because you just don't expect Gen.G to play it? I suppose so. As it looks like we are running it back here for T1, Jace and Leona.
Yeah, and you can now lock in the Akali, then ban away two of the counters, which I think is what they will do and what they should do. So that is something that you do open yourself up to as T1. Because now expectation is that we will see a ban of... Okay, TF. I get it, TF is a really good matchup into Akali.
Yeah, he's played it before as well.
Yeah.
Faker into Akali.
So I do quite like that. Now, you ban another one. However, then you do run into the issue, I think, that if you don't ban Lissandra, and I know that Lissandra is not the best champion, but imagine playing Lissandra into this composition from Gen.G, right? Like, that's actually really frustrating to play into. With already 3 short-range characters, playing into that is a absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And it is something that is definitely still in Faker's wheelhouse. No jungler picked up yet, though, for T1, and that Lee Sin going to get taken away. And there is also still the possibility that there's going to be an AD carry pickup, right? Like, this doesn't have to be a Ziggs bot lane. I expect it to be, but the flex potential is still there if they want to go for that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I thought Gumayusi's Ziggs was pretty spectacular, so I'm not expecting it, but I'm glad you do raise the potential possibility. Might also see the Volibear flexed into the solo, into the support role. Not going to happen, especially with the Kalista ban.
I was about to say, if only.
Yeah, not this time around. We're thinking about an Ashe.
I would love that.
We've seen this played into these kind of comps before. Can give you some more wiggle room, especially in the lane early on, but instead they're just going to run it back.
No.
And I suppose if you can just replicate Captain Jack cleanses over and over again, maybe it doesn't matter, but...
Ruler's like clearly shown that it's fine, but it's just... It feels so bad for him, you know? Like, we just want something nicer for him, because...
Italy. And Renekton. Who could have guessed? the wonderful duo is back again.
That's not the angle I wanted. To be fair, I think Renekton's really good into Akali, so that is something. I do not think Nidalee is in a particularly good place. Maybe Cuz is gonna go full Moonstone Nidalee.
Nope.
You know, that'd be
nice
great,
thought,
actually.
but it's not gonna happen.
that'd be really good. Yeah, provide some. No, it's not happening. It's gonna be full damage Nidalee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you needed to go this way as T1. I think we have seen that the Nidalee Renekton, not what it used to be. And I think you could have taken a much more comfortable direction here. You could have gone for the Galio in mid lane, you know, pick some AD jungler with that. There's also still plenty of wombo combo available. So many.
Look at this.
Oh.
We're having a swap, Jace. Very good in the early levels into Akali as well. And 21 seconds. Nope, they're going to swap it back. That was definitely a possibility, and maybe they just want to mess with Gen.G's minds, but this is kind of the expected, especially after Kana playing Jace in the last game. And of course, Faker able to play this Renekton. Still not going to be an easy time in the mid lane for that Akali.
Oh, it's still not a great matchup. There's just a reason why we're a bit hesitant to be happy about Renekton and Nidalee. Because the composition has a lot of power, and I think that specifically into BDD, it does provide you with a lot of value to have point-and-click CC in the form of the Renekton. Like, that is really nice, because you do need the lockdown to keep this champion down, and just the Leona is not necessarily enough. But still, it's a champion that, when shut down, doesn't really provide that much to your team. And the same can be said for the Nidalee, who has not had the greatest time. And if Canyon, that was at the time the best Nidalee player in the world, cannot pull it off successfully, then that might be cause for alarm. Because big switch though, because we have recently seen more of the Conqueror Nidalee has chosen to go for the electrocute here. So a lot more upfront burst, a lot more power. And I actually like that, because if you go aggressive early as the Nidalee, I actually think the pick is fine. It's just I don't want to see farm Nidalee. If you do this, spam ganks, you know, get fed, and then your spears actually do something when you get to the mid to late game.
Yeah, and you know what this sets up as well? It's not only the Jace crushing lane in the top side, you have a extremely hard-winning mid matchup as well. So there's no longer that priority here for Gen.G in the mid lane for LeBlanc over the TF for them to just pick up free Drakes. You can put on more immense pressure. Maybe Faker was just like, yeah, I don't want to lose lane again, guys, so I'm just going to play Renekton. And because you're playing Nidalee. And that is what happened here. This is kind of interesting, as BDD, he will be okay, although he is going to eat a lot of damage here from the Renekton, kind of unavoidably, as Faker already going to get ahead in this lane.
Yeah, I don't actually think that is okay. I think that's a really big problem.
Yeah.
That's your laning phase right there. Well, at least the early phase. I think eventually you will be fine. And yes, that denies a creep. But this health total means that Faker's trading later on is going to be so incredibly terrifying as BDD. Who also...
Well, we're looking to increase those numbers here tonight. 0%.
This is a good start for it, okay? This is as good as you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, some things with the T1 Gen.G matchup sometimes don't make sense, and maybe we're just returning to normalcy here. And maybe a switch up on this Renekton Nidalee matchup, especially with the way things have gone here in the early game. BDD he soaks XP, and that is it. This does, again, like you said, it requires Cuz to be proactive, Cuz and Faker to work together, and to try to set up plays. Obviously, this laning phase is going to be a huge boon for the side of Faker, but if BDD can just skirt by and he doesn't get too far behind, that's also not fantastic.
Well, it's so good as well, right? Because with the wave now hitting here, I think you're going to be able to stack another wave, which means that, yeah, as BDD, there's nothing you can do, right? Like, you can't move out of this lane. You need to be able to soak all of this up, which means that this might lead into a double scuttle here for Cuz if they play it well. Possible back also available for Faker if they do want to go for that. Because I do think it's kind of a waste to like get this big a wave, stack it, and then not do anything with it. Obviously, diving I think is a little bit over enthusiastic, but maybe Faker just picks up the bot side scuttle. I don't think there will be anything wrong with that. Cuz can do the same on the top side, deny that scuttle, but with the prio on bot side, nothing to be done. That's a lot of pressure lost there. I would have rather seen Faker back there, I think.
Yeah.
Get in the free back. Cheat that recall out and then make his way back into the mid lane with a lot more pressure available. However, this might still lead to some added problems for BDD, just by the fact that Faker is still on the map, is still adding pressure. But yeah, Glitz is going to be able to get that. And yeah, BDD is a little bit behind, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you were always going to fall behind in this matchup. It's really about the severity of how far is this lead going to go. And we do have Clit down on the bottom side, maybe trying to get a little bit more proactive down here instead of letting the Ziggs survive for free. Double flash taken away from the Gumayusi carry lane, as Gumayusi, of course, going for the teleport once again in game number 2.
And Guma's gonna have to back soon and refill the mana bar, because yes, you can farm safely from range, but this early on it doesn't feel great. Played also going for the Q max, so a little bit more movement speed when he is able to go in that aggressively. Yeah, Faker, it's a nice lead. BDD's Akali, as insane as we've come to expect from really Most Akalis. Because I feel you could say most mid lanes, you go, oh yeah, their Akali is really good.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
It's like old Zoe. It's like, oh, all of our top mid laners are just so good at that champion.
Yeah.
When she was meta. Same for Akali. And that's going to be a nice spot. You can see Klid is trying to do something to relieve pressure, but if the top lane is just kept on an island and safe for Kana, he can put on the same amount of pressure as last game and maybe even get some kind of 3-man dive eventually with the amount of priority they have in mid. Easy rotation up to the top side, especially if you can deny vision. Wouldn't be surprised to see that play eventually come through. As this is Cuz getting proactive. This is what you got to do. Klid can't just jungle for free, and here we go. Klid is going to get electrocuted. We'll see what he does. Tries to turn it around, get the shield at least, and that spear will miss, so he will survive. But again, just getting in the face of Klid is always going to be good. You had the pressure from the top side, and here's Keria even trying to get into the action.
I don't think there's anything you can do as Rascal. Teleport available for VDD and level 6 hit. Klid also in the vicinity.
Now we'll see if T1 commit to this. Just going for plates for now, and they seem to be just fine with that. You're still winning by doing this. Here's the TP. They really wanted to get that out. And Gen.G don't have an option to force and engage. They just have to deal with having that teleport taken away.
Nice full step by T1. I think you could have gone for it, but might have backfired immensely. And considering, honestly, a similar position where, yes, you have Renekton in Italy, but just the existence of Ziggs in this game makes it a lot harder for Gen.G to comfortably say, we'll just go late, because eventually Ziggs will outskill basically everyone in this game, just what the champion does. So it's not the end of the world. I like that they at least try and force something. Wave state also favorable for Faker, so I think we'll be able to possibly get the lane shoving towards him and deny even more to BDD, who's had a really rough time thus far. I say, as he calls the Meek in the middle of the wave. So clearly wanting to go for maybe a little bit of a push, but no, never mind. Just gonna maintain that pressure. And with Dragon up, I personally don't mind that. Would like to see them go for that, because if you have Renekton in Italy, might as well try to snowball those map objectives early on.
Yeah, if you're not snowballing something, you're doing something wrong. And yeah. I think the sweet spot for Gen.G will be if they can survive this early game, which is not going to be easy, and then somewhere mid to late before the Ziggs gets too crazy, as long as they're not too far behind. There's a lot of like things I have to add to this statement in order for things to look good for Gen.G, and that's generally not a good sign.
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent, but at the same time, consider how much, I'd say, worse the situation was for Gen.G in last game, and how well they still played it out, right? And that's kind of similar here, where once BDD hits one item, once and hits level 9, has his maxed out 5-point strike available. You know, once Ruda gets a Dust Blade finished, they will do damage. Like, they will fight incredibly well, as we see some movement here, but T1 knows. I still think that the window for Gen.G, just based on their execution, is going to be a lot bigger than what we might initially expect here. But I do think that T1, now a 1k gold lead, cannot give up this Herald, though. That's a surefire way to fall behind in gold. And Guma has teleport available.
There's going to be 5 members at T1 here in just a moment. You can see some of that vision also already being cleared out here. They're even pushing the mid lane. You can see how slow this Rift Herald is going down. As T1 definitely looking to fight this one. They're trying to burst down Keria, and will they be able to? The answer is yes. They take a lot of damage in the process, and Faker is frontlining like a madman. He's going to be able to take down Life. You can see that this Rift Herald so close actually to resetting, but it will go the way of Gen.G as Kana's trying to get in there. He will go down, but trade a kill. As Faker's still full health and a huge menace, they want to pick up as many kills as possible. BDD still has that ultimate available, and he will be able to get over the wall. But maybe not the same to be said here for Ruler and Klid, as they are just hunting them under the turrets. Cuz gets pretty low. The Shuriken is going to miss. And Cuz is just running into him, trying to get the bait off, and he will. Baits them both back in and will survive, as now the Shock Blast comes in. TP coming out from Rascal as he's trying to help out his team. The fights never end here. T1, they're still looking for more.
They're gonna keep going?
Yeah.
Carry us back!
You might as well. I mean, the health bars are full, and they're going to be able to get more as life goes down. Cuz is going to be totally fine. How about some bonus plates? It's a feast here for T1.
That's what we want to see from Renekton Italy, baby. It's taken a while, but that is an incredible mid-game swing there that T1 is able to find. They don't get the Rift Herald, but who cares when you're able to pick up 4 kills, deny the actual eye, and get this much damage done. And it starts with Carrier getting caught. Or does he, right? Because that's the big thing here. Is like, sure, you get Carrier, but the bomb from Guma combined with the damage from Cousin Faker means that basically from this point on, Gen.G is just running. Like, it takes a really long time. And yeah, that's very unfortunate that Kana. He needs to hit that EQ combo. Kuz also not the greatest at hitting the spears. And there's a lot of moments here where I was like, is this actually going to end up going well?
This fight goes on for like another 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah. No one
we have to speed it up.
Yeah, and that's just like, there is the sidestep, another miss spear, Kuz then walking. This is fine.
Look at this fight.
Then this is like, no.
He knows that BDD doesn't have the damage to kill him.
I don't...
All calculated, Chronicler.
I don't know about that one.
Is it 5 head or is it 1 head? That's the question.
Well, it worked, so it's 5 head. That's how it works, right? No, I don't think you need to take that much of a risk, but he does get out with life in the end. And then this is the big difference, I think, between the T1 that we're seeing here today and the T1 that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, is that you could back off there and be perfectly happy. But they don't. They go for the dive. Again, with Carrier literally dying first, waiting his death timer out, walking back to top lane just to get the kill, and now you are with a 3k gold lead, an absurdly fat Renekton. Even Kuz is now 1k gold ahead, which means that those spears that we needed to damage are now definitely going to do that. And it is a rough situation for Gen.G.
It definitely is. I think that kind of shortens the lifespan of that little piece of time in this game where they might have been able to do significant damage. After that fight, it feels a lot more like game number 1, except this time T1 have more priority, more Drakes, more objectives. Everything is just more. That's why I said it was a feast. It just feels like they're eating everything. They're gobbling everything up on the map. There's not really much that Gen.G can do right now. Kana, he's got help from Kuz, who's just sitting in the top lane. Not to mention Faker and Keria, who is still on the top side of the map because, of course, Ziggs can just always throw bombs by himself and be safe. Unless they want to commit 3 people to kill him, which is not really worth it right now. So, they're just sitting pretty.
Guma doesn't care. Sure, he has to give up a little bit because in the straight-up 1v1, obviously, Varus is a really big edge there if he actually gets onto you.
You just never fight
the ultimate. Yeah, no, that's the point, right? Like, sure, you give up a couple of creeps. Who cares? Whatever. I'm Ziggs. The rest of my map is snowballing. We have Illusion with Eclipse. We have Faker with a 1500 gold lead who's going to finish his first item very quickly.
Imagine if they had Lucian.
Wow. Yeah. I don't... In this scenario, though, the problem with the Gen.G comp is that, yes, Ruler can poke, but BDD, Clit, and Rascal, they need to go in. And going into a very fat Renekton is, I'd personally say, one of the least fun experience that you can possibly have in League of Legends. And in the LCK, the fat Renektons has been far and few between. We've had a lot of Renektons that get it 5 or 10 CS lead and then do nothing. And then they get into the late game and they're like, what? My champion now doesn't do a lot. Not happening today.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you have to do, right? If you're going to play this comp, you have to make moves, and we saw the second that Rift Herald spawns, they were making moves as Kana had to be careful about some of those trades that Viego can obnoxiously take from time to time. But other than that, they seem to be fine. I think as T1 here, you might want to group up while there's no real objectives and just try to take down turrets because that's really all there is at this point in time. Otherwise, you're kind of just sitting here.
And here we see again, Faker, he gets prio, then roams towards the top side. There's very limited vision available for Gen.G, and even though Rascal might actually be able to kill Kana in a straight up 1v1, as we saw earlier, like he actually has the damage available, he can't go for it because he needs to respect the possibility of a roam upwards. And that is playing around the map pressure beautifully. Now the first turbulent goes down. It's a 4k gold lead. T1 looks reinvigorated. Now, of course, we are going to be a little bit reluctant with praising too much because this is the LCK, and we've seen teams find leads like this and then not be able to capitalize on them.
And it is Renekton in Italy, although they have the leads that, you know, bring you the fear of Renekton in Italy. The reason why we saw this combo all the time is the idea that this is possible, even though we might not have seen it a lot. This kind of lead, I mean, as cuz he will pretty comfortably just be able to go for Shelly here. Second Rift Herald, there's not really much that Gen.G can do about this, of course. So that will just be that free objective going the way of T1, as they'll look to throw this one down probably before they secure that Mountain Drake and continue sailing on into the mid-game.
And if they actually do lose this game, which I'm still too early to call, even though I think that their windows are fairly small. As Gen.G, you go from being undefeated to going 0-4. That's a bad swing to take in.
It's not even the new curse of always losing to Dom 1. It's the old curse of always losing to 2-1. It's both of them, and that's not good.
It's not. When we do look at openings, though, that Gen.G have available, because we keep pointing out, yes, Renekton in Italy, obviously they don't skill that well, but I think in this composition specifically, T1, Guma.
It's okay.
T1 have an incredible amount of poke available to them, and mixed damage as well between the Jace and cousin Guma. And Gumayushi is not incredibly fat, but like at the same time he has a kill, and he zigs, so he's going to be fine no matter what once he hits 2-3 items. And we saw last time how that went out. I think as T1 you can give this one up, but you're this far ahead. You really shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And I don't think they will.
Why should Gen.G get a free objective at this point in the game? They have some decent poke, but you're also going up against Ziggs in Italy and Jace. So, you know, T1, like I said, throw this Rift Herald down, use that to get pressure. The Ziggs plus Rift Herald combo is just disgusting. There's no real other way to say it. You just take free turrets every time. And again, they can just get position here. They've got the plant as well to get Keria back to full health. Let's see how Gen.G try to maneuver this, as Gumayusi actually takes a lot of damage. T1 this time, they even have the healing from Nidalee. So some of that poke as well from the side of Gen.G is negated. As Faker is behind, they're trying to get in here, but we have a stopwatch as that's BDD going in, looking to get somebody, but he just gets nearly blown up and will get burned down by Cuz. There's just really no hope here for Gen.G. They tried to make it happen, but that's going to be two. Clid has to eat the spear, but it doesn't matter because Jace is in the game. And I love this from T1. They're never backing down from a fight. Only Ruler will survive again. As 4 members of Gen.G go down, T1 have over 6,000 gold in the lead. And all the Drakes they could love to take at this point in time.
Remember what I said about a possible winner for Gen.G? Well, I think it was somewhere in that fight, and he was not found. And now you are in a position where both your solo lanes are incredibly far behind. A 1-for-1 is not really a possibility that you can go for against an incredibly fat Jace as well. Well, I mean, Faker should need no explanation with his current state as Renekton.
Well, he doesn't have a stopwatch, so...
Yet.
He's got to fix that.
Yet. No, it's... Oh, man.
He went back and he bought a phage. He didn't buy a stopwatch.
I don't think he needs one, Veldes.
I mean, it's better than a phage. maybe not the whole thing. I'm not sure about that.
I don't think you're going to fight, right? So I think it's fine. As long as you, on the next fight you sell your Doran shield and buy the stopwatch, which, knowing Faker, I'm sure he will do, and then he will also satisfy you. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty unkillable, so I do understand. I feel like it's just safer. Either way, you see what the stopwatch does here for Keria, and then they just turn it around.
That's just a really nice bait. Faker also staying in prime position. BDD just getting blown up by the sheer amount of just AoE damage that was in his shroud.
Yeah.
Nothing the Akali can do, and then Faker, cause we have not seen this form of Renekton in Italy in the LCK. There's a reason why it has a 0% win rate, 0-7. Like, we can't really get over how mediocre it truly is. But we also see the reason why it is picked, right? This is what you're doing it for. It's like one of these games when you do actually get it, it's like you can't do anything wrong, right? Like you can just take anything, everything on the map. Causes healing will make the life of Gen.G infinitely harder, because as you pointed out, yeah, Ruler still does nice damage. That's fine, but with Rascal and BDD this far behind, and also facing into the amount of poke that T1 actually has available, it's miserable.
Yeah. And Renekton Italy comps in the past, they didn't always have, I mean, this is, our observers are very much showing how terrible it is to play into this composition right now, because not only is it Renekton Italy, it's unlimited amounts of poke and sustain as well. But yeah, in the past with Renekton Italy, you didn't always get all these winning lanes either, you know? Having the Jason or the Viego as well is really helping them, and basically having no way for Gen.G to exploit any weaknesses in lane just meant that, you know, basically T1 did whatever they wanted in the early game.
That's just one ultimate. There's no counterplay to that as Ruler except Flash. That's just...
Banshee's Veil. He could go Edge of Night.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really want to do that, because all your only use is to do damage, you know? If you're not doing that, and yes, you'll survive the one, maybe it's a Shock Blast and then you just get ulted, or maybe it's just...
There's too much.
A solar flare, and then, you know, you get ulted by Ziggs and a Shock Blast, and then you die anyway. So you might as well just build damage. No reason to go Edge of Night.
Oh, Rascal. He knows, though. Carrier gets spotted there, but... Yeah, and Edge of Night, it doesn't even have a Mar, right? Like, it just has a spell shield.
Yeah.
That's not enough against this amount of poke. Why do you think you can defend this turret, Rascal? As now T1, they take full control of the jungle, keep vision. Look, you can't move into this, like, ever. And now T1 are actually playing with the lead they have. They're walking up, they're taking objectives, and I know we clown on Cloud Soul, but if you have a Ziggs into this composition...
Yeah, it's great.
It's amazing.
It's actually really good. You just, not even just the Ziggs, but everything else.
It's, yeah.
Even the Cloud Rift. It's like, okay, well, you know, good luck getting away.
Easier.
Yeah. You can control the map so much easier with all of that movement speed on the entire map that you control. It's pretty gross. And there's no real getting away from this one. I wonder what Gen.G are thinking right now. You know, what is their game plan from here? Because really the only thing they changed in the draft was the Volibear instead of the Lee Sin, and then they picked up the Akali instead of the LeBlanc. And that's it, right? They still have the Varus. This time it's a Nautilus instead of the Galio. And I'm not saying it's all a draft. Okay, this is just... Let's just delete that from the internet. Like, let's just pretend that didn't happen.
Oh, no.
It turns out the minions, you know, they actually have ever-developing AI, and they're just getting too smart for us.
Kana. Based on our observers, this feels like a trap.
Yeah, well, he's like any gankers? Any gankers in the chat? Can we get something going?
Well, this is as big a flank as you're gonna find, but T1 have so much control. You can't.
Any gankers?
This. They're gonna try anyway.
Anyone want to try fighting this game? Okay, that ult's not gonna do anything. This is probably their best chance. They're trying to take out the Ziggs. As well, okay, well, we're gonna ult away now. They're trying to get on top of Carrier, but it looks like the damage is just too much here, unfortunately. Double kill for the Jace, and even Ziggs get into the action. I didn't even see BDD die. Like, it didn't even look like he was in that fight. That's just the unfortunate state of things here for Gen.G. T1 are just demolishing them here in game number 2. And that's just the way it's going to be.
10K gold at 24 minutes.
Yeah.
I just need a moment to take this in. Faker, by the way, just because you pointed it out, he went for Chain Vest. He didn't get a stopwatch, or he could have done even more in that fight. But we joke because there is really not that much more to say about this game. That is as good as an opportunity as you're going to get. It's the ultimate collapse. There is no ultimate available from Ziggs, right? It gets used aggressively. But BDD's throwing damage on top of a Leona that doesn't care at all. Kana does an absurd amount of damage. Faker.
This is... Yeah. You talked about the AoE damage. It's just...
It's revolting.
They're just dropping a safe full of cash on their heads right now. It's not even the wallets anymore.
Oh, come on.
It's like the clouds are raining hail of gold bars right now onto the heads of Gen.G.
It's like instead of growing money on trees, the money just falls out of the sky. Like it's even easier. There's nothing you can do. That's the unfortunate part because
we said we wanted more games like game number 1, but we wanted it to be competitive. You know, this is
a really big development though for T1 because this is Kana.
Okay, well he's got that item and now he's gonna have some follow-up. And at this point, you know, even if you do run into the enemy, it feels like you can't die. That's just kind of the lead they do have now. And he has teleport as well, so he's just going to get back into the fight. And with Baron buff for another minute 30, they're just going to look to end this here, I think, eventually. See if Gen.G can get on top of Faker here. The answer is going to be no, as there's another shock blast. And again, Gen.G will be sent back to the fountain.
One Hail Mary engage, I guess, to try and salvage something.
They tried that in the top lane and it didn't work.
But there's no other plan, Valdez.
Yeah. I think you just gotta hope somebody makes a mistake and then maybe Viego pops off or something. I don't know. This is not the result I was expecting either.
No.
So this is a huge win for T1. Coming into this match 4-4 and going up against Gen.G, who had only lost to a reinvigorated Damwon, like this is a massive win for them, getting things back on track for the summer split.
And I'm sure that many people, when Gumayushi was announced today, were not necessarily super excited about it. It might make them think back to spring, where there was so many roster swaps that didn't really work out. And I stand by my earlier remark that I don't think that Teddy is a problem in honestly any team, but also not in this iteration of T1. But it's similar to what we see with DRX. Changing a single player can change the entire dynamic with which a team plays. And it's very clear that it might, we don't know, right? We shouldn't read too much into it. It might just be that T1 as a whole look a lot better today. But at the same time, the Ziggs first pick has been working out very, very well. And that 12k gold up against what was a previously undefeated team. Of course, they did lose against Damwon, but that was also with Damwon looking incredible. You can't engage on Faker. It's not allowed to.
He's trying. He's trying to do something, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really nice turnaround for T1. And like we were both kind of commenting, uh-oh, Ruler. Yeah, yep. Go back to the fountain again. Rise and focus, of course, in the items here for Gumayusi. And again, it's not even that Teddy was playing poorly. I think it's just that Gumayusi deserved a chance. And I mean, this is a great comeback for him in game number 1, pulling out the Ziggs a couple of games. See if it, you know, draws out a big ban a couple of games in a row against their next opponent, whoever it is. As Gen.G, they're going to give it one last chance. As well, that was, yeah. This is just, they're just going to push this one in. A gigantic shock blast to the face. As now Faker's just going 1v3 on the back line. Basically 1v5 now. As in goes BDD. Does a nice amount of burst damage. But again, we're just going to drop that safe full of cash onto the heads of Gen.G. And T1 are going to take the massive 2-0 victory tonight in very swift fashion. Very dominant fashion. As they absolutely crushed Gen.G 2-0.
I could have